Waiting for the prompt on the Facebook. Hey, there we are.
Are you
HP Reverb G2 VR headset.
What?
Oh, sorry. Russ just posted something. That's not the stream. Never mind. There we are. The gang's all here.
Captions are auto-generated. Take me to the post. Oh, fascinating. Can I open this?
Anybody who wants to go in and change all that description shit in there is welcome to go do that.
Okay, I'm officially on the chat.
All right, y'all.
Oh, okay, that's probably going to be me. This
Allison?
is good.
3.
Maniacs, welcome to the show. This is Saltier. I believe this is episode 81.
80?
Yeah, we'll go with 80. Sure, that sounds great to me. We are the Saltier Podcast. We are the video game podcast where your argument is
beer.
Thank you. It's also beer. And we are not coming to you from Studio 212, but we are being produced by said studio still. That's the Soundcasting Network's video game podcast, usually out of 212, South Lake Union, Seattle, Washington, and brought to you by the lovely people at Voodoo Ranger IPA.
Thank you, Lauren. We love you.
Hashtag Live Rangerously. That's B Corp certified and employee-owned. Lovely, lovely beers. And I believe one of our host, Sage Bell, has got a box of it behind you of one of their newer releases. They got 1984, and they also have this Starship IPA. Look for those at your local places where you get burr. And thank you for tuning in, be it either Google Play, Facebook, Instagram. You'd probably see our post, and Facebook and Twitter. We are Salt_tier pod, and I am Loudnbrown at Loudnbrown on Instagram and Twitter. If you find me on PS4 or on Steam, I am Gross Def with a PH. And my other baseball capped person, who I'm not getting a whole lot of audio from, is.
What's up? You got the Savorings here. I was totally not muted during all that. I swear to God. What's up? What's up, everyone? Thank you again for tuning in with us. You can find me probably on Steam. You'll find me in VR coming up here in the very near future because I've been meaning to have my stuff set back up. My space, my entire living space, actually is in the process of being decluttered and dehoarded because I actually have time off from work for at least another 2 weeks or so. So if you guys want to see or are interested in any kind of VR content, hit us up here on Facebook. Hit us up on anywhere we are, which we'll plug later, our Instagrams and our Twitters and all that stuff. And let us know. And if there's any games you want us to see in VR or anything you want us to review or any questions you have, hit us up on there because I will be diving into it. I plan on doing some VR therapy coming up here.
I kind of want to see you do Beat Saber.
Beat Saber, I have a love-hate relationship with that game. It's cool, but it's not really for me.
Yeah, Go ahead.
What's up?
Uh-oh. I think we got a freeze.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Sage is frozen.
Sage is frozen. Let it go. Anyway, to talk about Beat Saber, I will say that I always thought that the Saber collision mechanics were always real generous.
Yeah.
Am I wrong to say that?
No, the hit detection and just the spatial recognition in that game, when you have to step to the side to dodge the thing, it's kind of hit or miss sometimes. You have to over exaggerate your dodge sometimes.
Was that an intended pun that it was hit or miss?
Oh no, it wasn't. I'm just that good.
You're that amazing.
Yeah. So I own it, but I don't think I'll be playing that. I'll probably be playing. I got a list of games. I sorted some out on Steam. Steam has a collections feature, so I just put all my VR games in a collection, as well as racing games. So I'm probably going to be playing Project Cars 2, flight simulator games, of which I've been racking up for years being like, one day I'm going to have a flight stick, and then one day I'm going to have VR. Well, I have VR and a flight stick, so I need to start playing that, like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen with the stick and everything. I'm start playing that.
Truth. I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And before we get started with topics, though, I want to make sure we pay attention to the cougar in the room, and he is the Prince of Parmesan and the regent of rigatoni. It is our super producer.
Hold on. And now I can say the whatever of elote, the Emperor elote.
Yeah,
now I can say that because
elote.
I know what that is because I have some of that in my kitchen, and I'm like, oh, this is what they're talking about.
Emperor elote. We got Kieth-a-boogie from Soundcasting Network itself. Kieth-a-boogie. Well, before we get started, did you want to talk about any upcoming events or particular podcasts in your family that are doing some work now? I know they've been a lot of them, first off, and some of them are busier than others.
Well, I mean, How to Be a Better Drinker is every Tuesday, and those guys are doing great. They're managed to still put out shows. And if you like alcohol, they would be a wonderful decision and choice for you.
We do love alcohol.
The Glow Up's still doing well. Miss Casey Carter, you gotta love her. Local music and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So if you like awesome girls doing awesome stuff, they're cool. And we got a bunch of other stuff, but unfortunately, COVID kind of kicked our ass. So we're just getting everything back up and running. But we will be rocking and rolling at full tilt here shortly.
Dare I say, Salt Tier was one of the pioneers of the Salt Casting Network to get started during COVID. I must say, we didn't stop doing episodes. I think we only missed like 2 weeks. And
maybe
we didn't really stay down at all. No. You know, we also are the techie podcast that has a lot of resources for something exactly like this. We're like, oh, we don't have the studio?
Yeah.
Hold my IPA. We got this.
Yeah, as a gaming podcast should be. We should be very well represented in the hardware section. Yes.
Woo! That said, I guess we're gonna start off with top picks. And where did you have anything you wanted to kick off with? Savorings?
To be honest with you, I haven't really been paying too much attention to video game news over the last week or so. Besides, just some occasional things wanted to run it past you guys.
Sure.
I saw an article talking about the new Ghost of Tsushima game that just came out for the PS4.
People will not shut up about it. They're saying that's the newest, like the new big thing right now.
They're saying it's pretty solid. It does look fun. It does look like something. It looks like a throwback. If anything.
Give the maniacs the elevator pitch. What is it?
I saw a really good description of it today. Someone said it's Assassin's Creed mixed with I forgot, like what's a really popular like third person kind of like samurai game?
Third person?
What's up? Yeah, Neo. Yes. It'd be like Assassin's Creed mixed with Neo, which a lot of people tend to agree with. And to me, from what I've seen of it, it looks like a very accurate description. So just think that, but it's also one of those end of the generation games. This is like the last big AAA game coming out. And usually when you get to this point in a console's life cycle, it's like all the games are starting to look like, you know, it's like they're squeezing every little bit of juice out of that hardware. So it's one of those types of games, one of those showcase types games. So
totally,
it's wowing a lot of people over.
My PC Master Race roommate walked into the living room while I was playing Last of Us, and he was like, "Damn, that's a PS4." I'm like, "Dude, my TV isn't even 4K. My TV is from 2011."
Well, that game's not really 4K either, but we won't get into that. That's not either here nor there.
You know what I mean, though? Like the fact that, you know, he's got his, 1-year-old monitor on his, mostly, 2 to 3-year-old computer parts. Like that dude's playing on not top of the line stuff, but no one's going to shake a stick at his setup. You know, that would crush almost any console.
Yeah. A game like Last of Us, a game like Ghost of Tsushima, these are like your tip of the iceberg games, like your tip of the spear type games. Like this is first party or second party, big budget. The developers are well seasoned on the hardware. They've been making the majority of their games on it. So by the time you get to the end and this is their last big hurrah, like I said, they're squeezing every little bit of juice out there. They know all the little tricks. They know all the little bells and whistles. They know the little cheats and hacks to make things look like how they shouldn't be looking, like they should run on a PlayStation 4.
Yeah. You're right, because I remembered all the last games on the PS2 Zone of the Enders Second Runner was one of them where
Yeah.
I was like, "This is PS2."
Yeah, and since we're talking Last of Us, the original Last of Us on the PS3, like pushed that way like past the point of what people thought you could do with the PS3. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that game's gonna be fun. Here's the question, because you're one of the more frugal gamers on this podcast.
I am.
Because you have your favorites and everything else really needs to be sold to you. Is this a full MSRP purchase for you?
What, Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah.
If I owned a PlayStation 4, yes, because there wouldn't be, and this isn't a jab, it's only a little bit of a jab, but there's not really too much else to play, like at least on a PS4 that I would play that wouldn't be available on a PC. If it's a game that's available on both, I would probably go toward the PC, just because that's for all the reasons.
Because you're
but yes, but you know, Keith, you know, of all people, you got to have your 4K HDR horse testicles. All right.
I do,
Okay.
and I'm enjoying those 40 HD horse testicles.
Oh, did you pick it up?
No, but I've seen the high res video of the horse balls.
Yes.
Because I was like, I couldn't wait to actually buy the game. I was like, I should just go look and see what they look like, and it's pretty intense.
Those balls are pretty intense.
You
But let's see. Just to kind of point out the types of you were saying a minute ago, like I'm kind of hard to sell on games. Like, hey, let's keep in mind this is the guy that has like 1,000, almost 1,040 games just on his Steam account. That's not including my Origin where I have like 100 games. Yeah. So yes, you're right. I do have to be sold to as far as like what I'm going to plunk like a full price on or something close to a full price. But I mean, you're talking to the guy that bought American Truck Simulator a couple days ago, and
Wait, is that the one where you literally just drive down the road?
Yes.
There's literally nothing else going on. It's just you cruising.
Yeah, and you run your little business and you like hustle and you like buy upgraded trucks, and then you get to the point where you can open your own trucking company, and then you just kind of you're literally just cruising in a truck. But I picked up a wheel. I had the VR. I got the game because it was on sale, and then I got the Pacific Northwest DOC. So it's got Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, and you can like drive your routes all through those states. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. I got some bucket list things. I'm going to post them on the Facebook, and we'll see if we can get like a nice fancy version to put on the Instagram or something. But this is my bucket list, and you guys are free to add different kind of wacky things you'd like to see me do in an 18-wheeler in the Pacific Northwest. I have a few, but I don't want to give them away just yet.
I mean, you got to pick up hitchhikers. That's like thing number one.
Yeah.
Is that part of the game? I feel like they would be remiss to not make that part of the game.
I mean, if they're gonna have that, you might as well have like lot lizards, right? Like a hot coffee mod for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna have a trucking game, might as well have truck stop hookers.
Yep.
But is drug running part of it?
No. This is
really
legit. There are other games for that, and I will be playing other games like Elite Dangerous, which is a outer space sim, and you can do that in 3D in space and run drugs and all that kind of stuff in space.
That's such a thing that's connected with trucking, though.
I'm sure there's mods. I'm sure people have gone nuts with it, and I'm sure there's like a lot lizard mod, hot coffee plugin for it. I'm sure there is.
But that's okay.
Yeah, so we'll cross all that when we get to it. When I find a little bit more, I'll post it on our Facebook, like maybe put some polls up, see what people want to do on there. So yeah, something like that. So yeah, be doing that.
Tight. As far as other news goes on, I watched a beautiful, beautiful video by Action Esports, who does fantastic comments. I'll make sure London puts that on the Facebook and probably on the Insta. London's been more active on Instagram. Thank you, London. But it's about the rise and not fall, but the rise and maybe mediocrity of the game Skullgirls and how much work is being put into it and how good of a game it is that it's a fan game. But, the visual style is not for everybody. There's no attachment to an anime or a comic or a video game, or it's not part 6 of an already existing, like it's a brand new IP, right? But that it's been around since 2013. And recently it's been getting more news during the epidemic because unlike a lot of other fighting games, it has fantastic netcode. And more and more people are getting upset at Street Fighter and getting upset at...
Loudnbrown, are you telling me there's a fighting game with decent netcode? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I mean, that's the reason why was it Killer Instinct or there was a NetherRealm game that grew popular because the netcode was so good.
Was it one of the Mortal Kombats? It seems like
I don't know because
Mortal Kombats seem like a little bit more popular than they should be.
I mean, that's also nostalgia. Anyway, Skullgirls has fantastic netcode, and they were going to be part of Evolution's tournament this summer, and then it turned out that the whole thing got canned. And it's just every step of the way, the creators of Skullgirls keep getting missteps. You know, they had this class action lawsuit against Konami that was pushing their title. So they basically had to make a new version of the game and sell it independently.
You know why? When we haven't really gotten into it too much on here because they've been kind of irrelevant for like a decade at least. Konami is probably the worst video game company ever. And I'm not talking their IPs. Their IPs are bangers in their classes, but I'm talking about them as a we need to go into them. Yeah, we need to go into them on a show.
We'll go into an episode and do some research for sure.
We should have a countdown of like the worst video game companies. Yeah. So, but yeah, we should do that on a show. Have like the worst video game companies, like legit. It didn't like not talking about their games, but just like their business practices and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Whoever's in America 2020, those guys suck.
2020 is just everything. Just cancel it all. It's just cancel. See you guys next year.
Yeah. On the plus side, though, we have like I said, all the games, especially with fighting games, because this kind of stuff doesn't affect MOBAs and shooters as much. I'm not saying
not as much, but yeah,
it still affects them. But no one's talking about frame data with moves in a lot of these shooters. Like no one knows how long it takes to reload a shotgun in Call of Duty Warzone. Like that's
I guarantee you there's people that do.
People do know, but it's not like the common knowledge. People don't talk about it on the on streaming. And it's not part of the zeitgeist of playing that game.
Yeah, because those games are more mainstream. So the vast majority of people are just people with a controller on their Xbox.
I shoot stuff. I shoot stuff bad.
Yeah. Even with Street Fighter 5 and Tekken 7, the most mainstream fighting games out there. It's
still small. It's still like
it's still small, but they will talk about frame data because it's integral to FGC. It's part of fighting games. Kind of like how in shooters, they talk about headshots and they talk about having map knowledge. Map knowledge doesn't matter in most fighters. So when they do have stages where you have to have map knowledge, like Injustice, where you could grab stuff from the background and throw it at your opponent. Yeah, that's something Street Fighter people would be like, the hell was that? Yeah. Your character doesn't have projectiles. Like, oh no, we're on the Lex Luthor stage. I threw a flat screen at you.
Yeah, but at the same time though, there's still a lot of people that play Street Fighter that don't get into all that. And like they play it like seriously or like, they play with a group of friends. They play it often, but like that's not really,
if we're talking competitive,
yes.
We're talking competitive, they know frame data is what I mean. And long story short, frame data is greatly affected by bad net code to the point where my Street Fighter friends and I won't even play it. Like we'll have okay games and we'll even get lucky sometimes and maybe go a full hour. And I hate that this is a success, going a full hour without too many hiccups.
Sage!
Sage is back.
Did you put the paperclip in the router? Is that what?
I didn't. No. All I have to do is like unplug them and then plug them back in.
Of course.
Maniacs.
Every time.
We got our very own Sagebo back. Sagebo, we've been talking about netcode and Skullgirls, but we need to hear your intro. How are you? How can people contact you? What you've been playing?
Oh man, I'm so sweaty now. Hi, it's me, Sage Bell. I guess it's just Sage in the corner.
Hi,
Sage. You can find me Twitch on Thursdays normally. Since this week has some games I can actually stream, you'll see me on Friday and Saturday.
Nice.
Live streaming twitch.tv/SageBell.
What you streaming right now?
Good question. Thursday might be Dead by Daylight or might be Borderlands, depends on our mood. And then Friday is Overwatch, and it's free for all, so it's first place wins and random prize. And then Saturday is I'm on the wrong week. Sorry, that is the wrong week. Gang Beasts on Friday.
Oh, nice.
Battlefield 4 free for all or Knife Game or something on Friday.
Nice.
Yeah, Knife Game.
Nice.
I got my weeks mixed up.
What
So
level,
trying
what level
for a
are you
game
now?
controller.
What level are you now in
In what?
Borderlands? Borderlands 3.
I haven't played it in like since June.
Okay. All
So
right.
like 20, less than 2015.
Okay. Cool. I was just.
It's also
curious.
way too hot right now to turn my computer on before 7 o'clock.
I just
Yeah.
had to look. Maniacs, if you don't know, we are, like I said in the intro, located in Seattle, Washington, a place that usually has steel painted skies and a general gloominess to it, hovering around 50 to 70 degrees during the summer. But summer's in full effect right now. We have finally tipped into the 80s. That's Fahrenheit to all you Brits
Yeah.
and
Canadians,
well, everybody else in
anyone
the
who's
world.
not
Everyone else.
American.
Yeah.
And this is notable because Loudnbrown's parents live in
Oh God!
Vegas.
It was 82.
They
What?
live in.
Why does Sage look like she just pooped?
Yeah. What happened, Sage?
It was 82 today.
Uh,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
ain't bad.
the
It's about 108 in Henderson, Nevada.
yeah, like the
Yeah,
the
but
general
in the
description.
computer room.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the general description I give the people that don't live here that ask me what it's like out here. I said we have a comfort level where we're usually between 50 and 70, and anything under 50 is a cold snap, and anything over 70 is a heat wave. So, so we're right in there. So yeah,
It was 10 degrees cooler yesterday, and 4 days ago it was 10 degrees cooler than that. So it went from 60 to 80 in less than a week.
yeah. Now
Listen,
imagine. Oh, go ahead.
Global warming is turning us into the new California.
yeah.
It's
80 in
turning all of us
Seattle. 80 in Seattle's like 95 everywhere else, and 95 out here is just like forget it.
Hell.
So do your part and don't eat
Crawling.
steak 3 days a week. How about that? Yeah, I brought politics into this.
No,
You better
I'm thinking,
believe I
do
did.
that. Eat all the
I'd
steak
go
you
for it.
want. Just don't fly anywhere.
Huh? Yeah,
Just don't
you
fly
know,
anywhere.
for another podcast, we'll talk about the differences of. Yeah, they're both terrible.
Mhm.
Flying and the beef industry have quite a bit to do with all of this.
I had steak tonight. It was
I
delicious.
know. I do
Oh,
want some,
steak is great, but
want some
just
tacos.
21 times a week. Maybe not necessary.
I mean, do you like pooping? No, eat all the meat.
Exactly.
No, cheese is what keeps you from pooping.
Mm.
Everybody is different, and that should be a new game. Working through someone's digestive system, and like your power ups are kale and flax seeds.
And you like pick up the corn and like that's your ammo.
No, yeah, but watch out. The flax seeds are DLC. You only get to push through for $5 extra. Anyway, maniacs.
That actually is
As-
a game idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible. I mean, it probably exists. It's probably an educational game idea.
It's probably an early access game on Steam. Is probably what it is.
Do the art,
Or-
and I can bullshit the programming in Unity for you.
Oh, it's on Leapfrog.
Oh,
You know it's on Leapfrog, 100%.
we got to
Yeah.
talk about this since I just thought about it, and this is a topic that we should talk about because we do have I'm doing the air quotes. We do have a gamer girl, like streams and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, did you guys see this game that was on the Sony store for like 4 hours and they yanked it down? Did you see that,
Oh,
Sage?
they actually pulled it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you saw it. I know. So you saw it. Sage,
Yeah, well, I saw, like, because I didn't have internet, because that was Friday. So,
You
there was
wanna
a
give-
whole...
Do you want to give the people a little bit of a background on this one?
Yes, I'll give you a little background of my day in addition to that, because
Okay.
I had no internet the entire, so the merger for Ziply to, from Frontier to Ziply was just terrible, and we all had an outage in this area for 6 hours. So I had no
Mm.
internet. So
That's a lot of no internet.
during the workday.
Class action lawsuit.
And then I would like see these like posts about Gamer Girl on Twitter. I was like, what the hell? And Nicole Burris, she linked me. And I was like, so I don't understand how it's completely a game. Unless it's throwbacking to like you're choosing the choices, but it's all live action, so nothing is like animated.
Hey, London,
what
London, can you throw this up on the Facebook page? We're gonna get London to throw this up here real quick.
And what it is like you, the viewer, you get to like become the moderator of the girl's life, not just her channel. And you get to
Yeah.
keep out like the creepy dudes, but you're the creepy dude. I guess it feels that way. And the trailer ends with like a murder or something. Like it turns into a horror game.
Yeah. Basically, you're a moderator for like a gamer girl channel, and a lot of people are laughingly calling it the Simp Simulator.
Oh, dare I say the Simulator?
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's coin it, put it up on Reddit right now and claim that. I don't think
Loudnbrown wins again.
Yeah. So basically, it's everything Sageville just described. It's basically, you guys remember Night Trap? Those of you that aren't old enough to remember Night Trap, it was a full motion video game, came out on the Sega CD in the 90s.
Sega CD.
And it's because of that game.
Was it MA or AO?
It was okay, check this out. It was before they even had a rating system for video games. It's because of that video game and Mortal Kombat, but mostly this game. It's because of Night Trap is why that there's an AO and why that there's even an ESRB, which is the ratings body for video games, and why there's a PEGI 16, which is what they have over in Europe and UK and stuff.
I was too busy playing Sewer Shark.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The other or Scottie Pippen Shut Up and Jam. That was the other one.
Wow.
So it's a full motion game. You're playing as a moderator for a gamer girl, and it goes horribly weird and just bad. And the thing is, this wasn't a PC game. This wasn't a Steam early access game. This wasn't a rando game that showed up on like some random developer's website. This was on the Sony PlayStation Store. This was a PS4 game, and it got pulled off their store after about 4 hours because people noticed it right away. And here we are talking about it.
I think it was multi-platform, at least on this trailer.
Okay, Sony yanked it down quick though because they were getting lit up for it.
It was like any girl that was like vaguely tweeting about it. They were like, I don't even want to share it because I don't want to give them any views. It's so disgusting. It is. And I was just like, what is going on? What happened on the internet today?
Man.
That's kind of weird that it like actually that it disappeared that fast. Like usually when they pull something, like you can still find hints of it here and there, but apparently like this was so tasteless and bad, people are like, nah, fuck this. We're just gonna hit the reboot on the whole thing.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, did you even consult women before doing this?
No, it's like the people that made the dresses, like the gaming company that made the gaming girl dresses. Remember that?
Or
remember that? You were like, did they talk to any women when they made these dresses?
Or another example, and I'm gonna give a shout out to, I believe it was Cosmonaut Variety Hour, talking about my boy, talking about how you can tell when the targeted demographic had nothing to do with the creation process, and they were like, let me explain to you what I mean. Video. Listen to the dialogue on Riverdale, and it shows the kids talking at a diner, and you're like what 78-year-old like man wrote this script? And
a perfect example would be like, let's just take the last 10 years of media. How many times have you said when you were watching something or heard someone else say, who is this made for? Like, what is this? Like, it's just been happening. Like, perfect example, Last Jedi. Like, as an old school nerdy Star Wars fan like
made for me.
I know, yeah. So it's like I was watching and I'm like,
they got their demographic.
Yeah,
they got their demo,
and that's just an example. Like,
I'm just not a good Star Wars fan. The thing is, they should have had Star Wars fans made the script.
Last of Us 2, and we'll get into that.
I just want to go ahead and defend the last Star Wars trilogy. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. I agree.
There was a lot of plot shit that they just didn't wrap up or use very well. But I mean, honestly, it wasn't nearly as bad as the critics made it out to be.
No.
The
critics liked it.
Here's the problem, Kieth-a-boogie, is
except for the last.
Does it hold up to? This is my comparison whenever I talk to Star Wars fans. How does the new trilogy compare to the prequels? The original is that's gospel. Yeah. I don't like Jedi, but that's me. Jedi seemed like an apology to Hollywood. I'm not a good Star Wars fan, but I just like 4 and 5 a lot.
All good.
So when I argue with people, I'm like, okay, the sequels versus the prequels. The reason why I defend the sequels is because I didn't care for the prequels at all. And me and Savorings got into it for a good hour and a half a couple weeks ago.
It was more than that, dude.
And,
we were on here till like midnight.
Yeah, but it's like the prequels made sense with supplemental narratives.
Yes, the prequels were retroactively made tolerable.
Good. Yeah.
because of the Clone Wars and the books and stuff
And
that
the
surround the
books.
video games were excellent around that time period too. So yeah.
So what was your point on the sequels in a nutshell?
Well,
Kieth-a-boogie? No, Kieth-a-boogie.
Go ahead.
I was just saying it wasn't that bad. I mean, like, it was popcorn. They didn't do anything new. They basically rewrote the first 3 or the 4, 5, and 6, you know, and added a few bells and whistles, but it wasn't.
And you know what? Like, I can't argue with that. Like, compared to most Hollywood movies, they weren't that bad.
They were tolerable narratives. You got a beginning, middle, end.
But here's the big but.
But
People have been waiting 40. You had 40 years. You had an unlimited budget. You had time. You had all the talent in the world, and that's what you did. Like, I think that's what it is.
My biggest beef with it was like, how do you make Luke a bitch? Like,
exactly. Like, you had all this time, and then that's what you did with
you made
Luke.
Luke a bitch. That was my biggest complaint about
like
it.
nothing. Like that's what you did.
You know what though?
If you're gonna do that,
about this? No,
if you're gonna do that, at least explain why. Yeah,
I think it was Patrick H. No, it wasn't Patrick H. Williams. It was someone else talking about hearing all of the Star Wars fans and be like, I believe and listen to everything you just said. No, I don't like the new sequels. I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan, but he doesn't like the argument of how people treated Luke, and the way he described it was, look at what Yoda and look at what Obi-Wan did when faced with too much conflict. They both disappeared into.
Yes, but Luke's not supposed to be a bitch.
So
and
I mean, neither was Yoda or Obi-Wan.
But
Those
Yoda and Obi-Wan,
champions.
but like they did it strategically. They did it with a purpose. They knew themselves before Luke said it in The Last Jedi. They knew the Jedi had to go away because there had to be a balance, and the balance is not having either a Jedi or a Sith.
Sure.
So they knew that they had to go away.
Whatever. Jedi Last Order. There we made it. We connected the dots. That stupid SNES game. I hated that thing.
Jedi Last Order.
No. The one on NES, SNES. I forget. It was just dodging a lot of lasers.
Oh, Super Star Wars and Super.
Yeah.
At the time, those games were bomb. But
it was what we got.
They don't age well though.
The first Star Wars game, and Sageville, you could probably agree with this because you've been to arcades or movie theaters before. I think the first Star Wars game that I ever played that really blew my freaking mind was the arcade Star Wars trilogy game where you had the joystick and it was a lightsaber and you could pod race. And I was like, holy crap, this is a better experience than some of the movies, man. And the Vader fight at the end, I don't think I ever beat it. I got my ass kicked.
As a kid at arcades, the only thing I played was fight games.
Oh, okay.
Like
I played 1942 a lot. I love that.
And then slightly older heads like Keith and I will remember the very first Star Wars game blew me away. Remember the first time you walked in an arcade, Keith, and you saw that fucking wireframe Star Wars game? Like you didn't, and back then, like there wasn't internet, there wasn't like a whole lot of magazines. Like you didn't know that game was coming out. I just walked into the arcade to play Popeye or whatever I was gonna play, and it's playing the music and it's on a scale. Like that shit like blew me away. Like and that was the very first original wireframe game.
And I feel like me and Russ are lucky in the sense that we've gotten to grow up playing video games from like the very beginning of video games.
Y'all have very few years on me. You realize that, right?
I know, but like, but I'm saying by the time you walked into an arcade and you noticed that Star Wars game, you already had like mid-80s type arcade games. So you weren't like that impressed with the wireframe Star Wars is like kind of what we're saying. So like that difference of just like 4 or 5, 6 years, like that made a big difference in the first Star Wars game you would have been blown away by.
I guess you're probably right about that. Yeah.
So.
No, that's very, very true. And yeah, I guess that is 100% true, especially with franchise games. But the thing is, and as everybody here knows, before IGN got really popular or GameFAQs and all the websites, I had GamePro. My friends had Nintendo Power. All my smart friends had EGM.
Yeah.
But because I was such I maniacs, I bring this up all the time. I'm not so much of a console gamer as I was an arcade gamer. I didn't have a lot of money growing up, and all the money I did get went toward playing music. I'm a musician. Well, not. I hang out with musicians. I'm a drummer.
Shock.
Hey! But I got a lot of the games that I played. I went to the arcade because I wouldn't have $60 for a cartridge, but I would have $2 to play Street Fighter. Nice. Odyssey.
I never liked Street Fighter because the female characters were like way too naked.
Yeah, they were always very female. It wasn't until Street Fighter they had clothed real people. And then Street Fighter fixed that with 3 when they made Makoto, and she just wore a karate gi and she looked awesome. Anyway, sorry, long story short, even with the video game magazines, they talked about console releases. That's it. So even me reading GamePro every month, I would walk into my arcade and be like, there's a new Initial D game out with a card reader. Yeah. No one's talking about this.
Yeah. The only arcade like the only arcade game like magazines were like the trade ones, and you'd only get to see those if
you were going to order a cabinet.
yeah, or like you got cool with the dude that worked at the arcade and he'd let you like take a look at it or something. Yeah,
freaking wild. All right, so we talked about gaming, talked about Skullgirls. Sage Bell, please.
Speaking of older games, on Saturday I was in a Team Fortress 2 tournament.
Heyo.
With
Love it.
our lovely, I think I'm this way, Matt Stotts.
Hey, Stotty!
So prop hunt only lasts the games only last 5 minutes, so it was the fastest tournament ever. But we made it to semifinals. The trick to win prop hunt is be props first because then you know the map. But yeah, huh?
Okay, no. Also, they have prop hunt in TF2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're just any of the assets in the game.
Yeah,
but when you're
I've only ever played it in Gary's mod. I didn't know it was in TF2.
I mean,
okay.
Isn't TF2 Gary? Anyways, there's also a newer game called Prop and Seek, so a lot of people just played that instead of TF2 until TF2 started.
Nice.
Because I guess the UI's newer.
I'm so glad you brought up TF2 because that was the game that and you were talking about your internet and we were talking about frames and latency and stuff online.
That's one of the games they will do that. That and Counter-Strike, yeah.
That's one of the games that made me really pay attention to my pings and try to optimize my connection, and I was doing all that stuff. So TF2 was one of the first ones I was really
wouldn't that be so much more beautiful if those games? It sucks that everybody has this micromanagement, right, of their ping and their their connection and everything. And then when you go to LAN party, it's oh no, man, we're connected. My internet lag is that, and that was my first experience playing shooters. I barely played Counter-Strike when it first came out, but when Halo 2 came out, we used to hold 16-person LAN parties at our buddy Bryce Osh's house. Bryce
Osh. On controller or keyboard and mouse?
Oh, it's controller. It was Halo 2, yeah. And my homie, who watches the podcast sometimes, and he listens sometimes, maybe he'll hear this. We called him Gonzo. He would show up to the house holding a CRT, 24-inch in his arms. He's kind of a big Hawaiian dude. He's more than 50.
That was a big TV. Yeah.
Yeah, he was holding a 24-inch in his hands, and he had a backpack with an Xbox.
Because it's this way too.
Yeah. And he would have a backpack with an Xbox and 4 controllers and the game, and everybody would be like, Steven's here! Let's go! And we connect it all up, and he'd be the connector. And it got to the point where these parties, this is right after I was done with high school. Maniacs, odd thing to say out loud as I take my sip here.
No way, Loudnbrown. You played Halo 2 LAN parties in college? No way.
No. What I'm saying is I didn't drink till I was 25. So,
oh boy.
And most of my friends didn't drink either. So it'd be 20, 22 people at this poor guy's parents' house. Maybe 3 of them were drinking. And it was really laid back. And we were mostly just hanging out and playing games. And it got to the point where there were 6 teams of 4. And only top 2 teams stayed on, and everybody else would play Smash or GoldenEye, or I would play Capcom vs. SNK 2. Anyway, those were wonderful, and LAN parties are important. Everybody support, but in the meantime, support PDX LAN, right, Sage?
Hey, you can donate, and then I think they'll put money in for the raffle. But what I was gonna say was, when I was a kid, in my high school, we actually would go over to someone's house and we'd all play Smash. So I played like tons of Smash back in the day on GameCube controllers, and there'd always just there'd be like 8 of us, and we'd take turns. So that was always like super fun when I got to do that. I hear it too. It's on his computer. But I don't know what else I was gonna say.
We used to skip class and go play NBA Live. That was our jam. NBA Live on the Sega Genesis. We'd be okay if we had to play it on the Super Nintendo, but the definitive version was on the Sega Genesis.
I dated a guy when I was a sophomore in high school that I went over to his house, and they all had me playing Halo. And I didn't know how to play a first-person shooter. I didn't know how to use a controller. And the first thing I did was back off the map.
Got any pictures? Got any pictures, Sage? I want to see. I want to see 10th grade Sage Bell. That's what I want to see. What were you wearing? Were you wearing like the Jinkos? Like, what's going on?
I wore. I didn't like that style. I still don't like that style. But I did have a Gur shirt or a hoodie.
Okay.
So I did have some Hot Topic clothes, but
I was gonna say, okay, so you're like Hot Topic girl a little bit.
A little. Okay. They were the only thing that really made clothes for someone my size. That's a weird thing to think about. But because I'm so tall and skinny, and it was they actually made clothes that weren't boy clothes that I could fit.
We should do that here on the podcast. So we should replace our pictures here when we're streaming with a picture of us in high school.
Oh, I mean, I've shown people pictures of me from high school, and they're like, "Oh, was that last week, Jonesy?" I'm like, no. Although I do weigh 5 pounds more than I was a senior in high school.
I had my fiance laughing at me because I was wearing my Jordan jersey that I wore in the 10th grade, and it still fits me.
Who's Jordan?
That'd be Michael Jordan, number 20, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, born February 17th, 1969 in Brooklyn, New York. The GOAT, you may have heard of him.
Yo, he's from Brooklyn?
Yeah, he was born in Brooklyn. He moved to North Carolina when he was 3.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I weigh 20 pounds more, but I still fit everything because I'm just so stretched out.
Yep. My Jordan jersey's hanging up drying. I've had that since 1990. That's when they were still in their first three-peat. I bought that. It was like 93 I bought that jersey.
But really the only difference between what I look like now and then was I was tanner and my hair was blackish.
And then Kieth-a-boogie looked exactly the same when he was in high school, right?
No, man, I actually was a lot smaller because I used to wrestle and do all kinds of crazy athletic shit, and then I quit doing all that shit, and I kept eating like I was still doing all that shit. And unfortunately,
Greco World or collegiate freestyle?
it was high school. Fucking, they call it home. They call it country style or country cat. It's just basic high school wrestling, and then like a little bit of boxing and rugby in college, and then I just stopped doing all kinds of shit. And
I gotta learn rugby rules. Maybe I'll buy NCAA. Do they have a rugby EA game?
Yes, they did for the longest time, and I played it on the Sega Genesis because that was the best version of all the EA games. And
it's gonna take a Mario version or a Namco version to teach me. Because I learned tennis rules with Super Tennis, and I learned how to play golf.
Super Tennis was so good, yeah.
Yeah, but I learned how to play golf and keep score because of Namco Golf. And when you reach a certain points level, you unlock an unnamed golfer. That's Heihachi. He has the exact hairdo and mustache, and he's strong as hell.
Was that on the PS2, right?
I think.
PS1? Okay.
That's old, yeah. But I learned golf rules from that. I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
I learned golf rules from Challenge Pebble Beach by Jellicoe on the Nintendo. That's where I learned golf rules from that game.
You know, it's a hard game to learn, I guess, but it's sports related.
What's up?
Is cricket? Playing the EA NASCAR games. They're so hard.
Are they
Those-
tough?
Yes,
I just
those
started
games are hard.
cheating on them. I was
Yeah.
like, this
Nah, just
map,
pick-
Watkins Glen, take all the shortcuts.
I have one for the PS1 back here, and I kept it because that game was infamously hard, and I found a copy of it for like $1, and I was like, I have to own this game that used to piss me off so bad.
Just pick Bubba and win, baby. Pick Bubba.
Well,
I'm
I would have to
it's,
be within the last.
I want to
Yeah,
unlock.
cheers.
I want to unlock the General Lee, and then you just win all the races. You'll lap everybody.
Oh, you went there.
Yep.
Hey, they made a Dukes of Hazzard video game.
Which I'm
Because
not bagging on. I love the General Lee.
Yeah,
I love that car.
Because I took a picture next to General Lee and I sent it to my dad. And he's like, what the hell? I'm like, I don't know. This is super weird. But I like that the remake movie addressed the Confederate flag on the roof. And they basically made fun of it. And it makes me like the movie even more.
Yeah.
Despite being produced by Broken Lizard and having Willie Nelson in it and Burt Reynolds. It's a solid freaking movie.
And Johnny Knoxville.
I don't think the game was that good. I think the game was made to as a cross promotion for the movie.
Once again, who is this for?
It was just rushed out. And well, that's why all those Chronicles of Riddick games come out late, is because Vin Diesel has a say in when they come out, and they don't come out until they're done. So I think when Chronicles of Riddick dropped, I think the game came out like months later, and the movie studio was so mad. They're like, hey, this comes out when it's ready. Because Vin Diesel is everybody's yoked nerd favorite. I love him.
Dude, he's
so
only
much.
like 5'4", too.
Vin Diesel.
He isn't that short. I know he's not that short.
He's not that tall either. I've seen him in person. He's
yeah, he's
shorter
not
than me.
tall, but like he's like
6 foot.
he's 6
There's
feet.
no way he's 6 foot. That is a lie.
No.
Google said
No.
6 foot.
I will believe that. I will 100% believe that.
I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot and 1/2 inch, and he was shorter than me.
Maybe you had better posture.
Maybe.
Maybe
Even-
it's because he's so big, he looks shorter.
Yeah. All that weightlifting, he like compressed his spine down, and he's a little shorter. I don't know.
I had a friend in high school who was like really buff, but we were the same height, but he always looked shorter than me.
I get it all the time, maniacs. This is Loudnbrown here. People tell me that I'm X amount of height. People will tell me that I'm like 6'1", 6'2", and I'll tell them, no, I just have good posture. I stand up straight, and I'm skinny. And then they stand up next to me and go back to back. They're like, "Oh, you are only 5'11". I'm like,
And the fro too. The fro gives you
the
like
fro gives me away a little bit too. But
yeah.
I know a lot of people that are my height or taller, but they slouch, and it does actually come off as looking shorter. So I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Sylvester
Also-
Stallone is 5'7".
I did not know that. That is a tiny dude. I thought he was at least 5'9". I know he's shorter.
When I was younger, I thought he was a big dude, and then I saw him in Rocky. Was it Rocky 3 when he's fighting the Russian guy? And that dude was towering over him.
Yeah,
he was like,
but
he was
Dolph was like
Blood.
6'4".
yeah, I knew,
so-
and I knew he was tall, but like he was like two
Rowan.
heads taller than Rocky. So I was just like, "Yo, Rocky's short." I know other dudes tall, but Rocky's short too.
Wow.
Tom Cruise is like 5'7".
Who?
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
Oh
We
yeah,
all know
Tom
he's
Cruise is
short.
yeah, he's short, but he
Same with Kevin
handles it. That said,
They
Go ahead.
dug a hole in the beach for one of his co-stars to walk in when they were doing a beach scene because they didn't want him to look as short as he really is. So I think it was who's the strawberry blonde guy with curly hair?
oh, got it. Yeah,
Which movie?
Nicole-
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole
Okay.
Kidman, his
Well,
ex-wife.
She's
Yeah.
tall though.
They dug a trench in the beach for her to walk in.
She is tall. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and they do angles and they do all sorts of stuff to hide it. They do the
Dude.
same thing with Famke Johansson, whatever, because she's like, they had to cast her for Hugh Jackman because they knew that Wolverine was supposed to be short, and they're like, what's the tallest active redhead out right now? And they're like, Famke's like 6'1", and the studio was like, we can work with that. Because
That's
if
funny.
they, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's funny that you talk about the angles because I've seen Kim Kardashian in real life, and she's like her shoulders are like this far apart. I was surprised. I was like, what?
She's
She looks
really
small.
broad.
Yeah, she's broad. Yeah. And then I saw John Legend perform, and he is pear shaped. Fun fact: John Legend is pear shaped. You would never know that seeing him on TV, but he is definitely pear shaped.
Prince was only 5'3".
Yeah,
Prince
John
is a little
Legend.
dude.
John Legend has childbearing hips. Yep.
We all know. I had a friend in my soccer team. He had like, he was the same shape. I was like, man, you could birth children. He's like, no, I can't. I'm like,
Yeah.
look at those
I
hips.
had no idea.
Yeah, really. See.
So I know that was on the
Moving-
side. I know, but still, I had to throw that.
Moving on. This is Loudnbrown. I want to do. This is the last thing I have to talk about. I don't know how much news you have, but I finished The Last of Us 2.
Oh yes, I gotta hear.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything about the story. All I got to tell you is because we're a Seattle gaming podcast here at the Soundcasting Network. Woo! Is that .net or .com, Kieth-a-boogie?
.com.
Soundcastingnetwork.com. Check out us and other podcasts. Because we are a Seattle podcast, playing this video game is a very, very particular experience. I can imagine it's what New Yorkers and Angelinos feel all the time because so many games and movies and TV shows are in those cities. But having lived in Seattle for 12 years, it's not the broad strokes, you know? It's not the Space Needle. It's not just the, you know, the rain. It's not just...
They have that overpass thing over by the convention center.
They do all these little details for locals. Like, it'd be different if it was just Google, you know, Google Street rolling around the city and getting exteriors for hints. But there's details when you go into certain buildings, like the convention center or certain Chinese restaurants and different areas of different neighborhoods. They really nail, and it's not like they mapped out Seattle and that's exactly what your playground is. They combined elements to like, hey, here are these two famous hotels. We're kind of make it look like the same one, and play with that. And it's such a love letter to the city. They even make fun of it with the rain and everything. And why would anybody live here? And it's super cool. That said, I probably spent over 40 hours on it. You know, I did the first half, which I guess is the first 2/3, stealthing through it. This is not a spoiler because if you played the first one, you know it's a third person kind of sneak around, very Splinter Cell, Metal Gear Solid, Batman Arkham Asylum, you know, that kind of game where you can choose to do action, but stealthing is pretty beneficial. And, you know, during the last half of the game or so, I noticed that I always had extra ammo. I played it on normal. I don't know. Somebody scared me into thinking that harder modes would be more annoying. So I played it on normal instead of on hard. I kept having too much ammo. I'm like, I guess I'll use some of these damn bullets. And the last half, I just kind of run and gunned. And you could play it like that, too. You could play it like a full-on shooter. And I like games that do that because it gives you options.
Hey, so real quick, I got a question for you guys. Going back to something you just said, Derek. When you guys get a new game, what level do you play your first round through at?
Depending. If it's brand new, I play normal because I don't know. I'm a noob when it comes to a lot of stuff, and I'm kind of dumb. I can't notice details that you're supposed to. It takes me a while to learn stuff, unless it's a fighting game, but there are no difficulty levels in fighting games. So that, like, it doesn't affect me. When it comes to shooters that I know, like every Halo that came out after 1, I always played it one notch above normal. Same with Battlefield, same with Call of Duty. I would never play it on easy because I played Halo 1 on easy, and it was, I mean, not on easy. I played it on normal, and I was like, damn, this is too easy. Same thing with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1. I played it on normal, and then when 2 came out, I absolutely went straight to hard. I'm not tough enough to go expert. I'm definitely not tough enough to go to legendary. That's nuts. But it's once again, Cosmonaut did a review on The Last of Us 2, and he said he played, you know, a good hour or two normal mode, and then he played it on hard. He's like, this is the way you're supposed to play the game. It feels like you're actually surviving. and that you do have to hide around, and it feels more apocalyptic, and you're more scared. It's a horror shooter game. Like, you're terrified the whole time. And he likes it better that way, and I kind of wish I did that. That said, good story, good storytelling, great voice acting, and mocap. I found out that, like, a lot of their cutscenes and a lot of the action had mocap actors, and you can't even tell, like, the loading screens from the playing. I'm sitting there, like, drinking green tea, and my character doesn't move. I'm like, oh, the cutscene's over. Shoot, this is the same graphics. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Beautiful game. 10 out of 10 play. I don't know. I don't say 10 out of 10 rating. I'm like, yes, buy or obtain this game from a friend. Like, play it. It's an enjoyable game. I think it has a good story to tell. I know there's a controversy with it.
There's several.
Yeah, and if I don't know if we want to talk about that, we got a couple of minutes left. But shoot.
I mean, where do we even start? Like, do you want to start from like when before this game came out and it got delayed 3 times? And
sure, I'm okay with that because I like a game that's done and that I'm fine waiting. Like, I will wait for Tenet,
and that's
Christopher
fine.
Nolan. I will wait for Falcon Winter Soldier, and I will wait for Street Fighter 6. Capcom, do not rush this.
Yeah,
do not.
So it got delayed, which I'm in the same boat too. Like I learned in the 90s, waiting for the N64. Well, I waited 3 years for that to come out, and it came out, and it was worth it because we got Mario 64, got Killer Instinct Gold, and all that kind of stuff. So it was worth it in the end. The N64 was worth the wait. The games were worth the wait. Ocarina of Time that took like an extra 2.5 years to come out, worth it. But what else? Oh yeah, so I guess
there's like a major spoiler thing that is upsetting to people too.
That happened, but a little bit before that, reports of a lot of crunch going on over there, and like a lot of weird work environment stuff going on over there.
And Naughty Dog from an industry standpoint.
Yes, and also talking about how the work environment had gotten really political in a lot of ways.
Where's Naughty Dog based out of?
I don't know, somewhere in California, I think.
Hey, London.
So that came out, and then we also had the fact that about 70% of their original workforce was all gone, and they'd all been replaced because of things that were happening at Naughty Dog, including the original writer. What's her name? Amy, such to the W. The lady that wrote the original all the Uncharted and wrote The Last of Us. She wasn't there anymore.
Santa Monica, California.
Amy Henning. That's her name.
Yeah, and just to interrupt. Thank you, Sageville, and thank you, London. It's Santa Monica, California. So 310.
So they're right there near the beach and stuff.
Right near the beach, boy.
So basically, that happened, and then you had the whole thing going on with right around the same thing that happened. But it kind of came to light that Anita Sarkeesian was there, and she was helping to consult on the plot. So a lot of people instantly were like, meh. And then a disgruntled former employee leaked the plot, and didn't just leak the plot just to be malicious, just to leak it, but they never identified who they were. They preferenced it with, I'm only doing this because the conditions there have gotten so bad. When they revealed this to us and we got to actually play through this and actually got to test this, there was a lot of people there, higher, like all through the chain, high ups and contract QA people, were all just like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, yuck. Like, this is the story. Like, are you trolling us? And a lot more people left after that, including this person. And then that's why they ended up leaking, because they were like, oh, all of you out there that have been waiting 6-7 years to play this game, you should probably know this going into it, like what's going into it. So that happened. And it wasn't even so much the leak. The leaks got put out there. People talked about it on Twitter. People talked about it on YouTube. The main controversy at this point was Sony started to copyright strike people. And it wasn't so much they were copyright strike people, because that happens all the time, but they were putting DCMA strikes against people's channel, which are serious, which can get people kicked off of YouTube. And a lot of people make their living doing that. A lot of people have a lot of followers doing that, and that can jeopardize your channel to the point where they will kick you off of YouTube. Normally, when something like that happens, a company will order a cease and desist, or YouTube will block your video and you can release it at a later point, or you can re-edit it and resubmit it. But no, they were copyright striking people's channels. So they were going right to the nuke on this one, which also pissed a lot of people off. And then just doubling down. And then once the game came out, they did the whole, just like Last Jedi, There was a big rift between the reviewers and the actual players, and true, a lot of those players were trolls, and it has gone up. It was like a 3, but now it's skyrocketed to 5.5 now. So there was a lot of trolls, but not really that many. And you had the critics coming out saying all the people that didn't like it were ists and phobes, and all that stuff happened. And then Neil Druckmann, who's the CEO over there, the creative director as well, he kind of came out and attacked fans and was kind of in denial, and just the whole thing was a mess. So just think of this as the fallout from The Last Jedi, but in video game form, to the point where people are calling this game The Last Jedi of Us too. So
wow. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say that. I still completely objectively not knowing any of this because I just found out about the stuff in the background. And maybe it's because of the lens I have living in a very diverse city, where that kind of stuff falls by the wayside.
No, it wasn't the diversity. Nobody cares.
It's about the game itself.
Yeah, and just
even the storytelling. Like unlike some other gamers, I'm very, very into film.
Okay, well, I'll put it to you this way: like
so.
The main turning point in the game, you know what it is. I won't say it here for the people that haven't played it, but you know what I'm talking about. The main story point in the game, the main thing that punches you kind of in the face, kind of happens early on in the game.
It sure does.
That's kind of the equivalent to a lot of people of Luke drinking the fucking green milk out of the.
I see what you mean.
That's kind of the equivalent of just like Luke like throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder, just like
I can understand why people are upset at that, and that's fine for them to think it. I'm actually cool with it. Cosmonaut talks about that also, and his points are
he's also very detached from it too. He kind of said the same thing about the prequels and like Star Wars fans' expectations and stuff, which is true. But you also have to know you're making this for your crowd. Your last game didn't sell 20 million copies because people thought it was okay. No, people thought it sold that many copies because people loved it, and they loved it for a reason. And then you kind of like did the opposite in the next game. So you should kind of be expecting people to be not so happy with you.
Sure, but if that's the thing that people are just going to fixate on, it's like they don't trust the game makers to make a story that isn't about because otherwise it would just be a remake. If that thing doesn't happen, it would just
not true.
I mean,
Empire Strikes Back was not a remake of A New Hope.
No,
but they're still Star Wars movies, so you can do it. And people love shock. People love to be challenged. Look at the Avengers movies. Those movies, if you just watch the Avengers movies and don't watch movies in between, those movies all do tell one coherent storyline. It helps if you watch the other movies, but you can still follow along in them fighting the bad guy, and they're all different from each other. All the Avengers movies are different from each other.
Like you don't need to watch Ant-Man to watch the Avengers movie.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with the topic of The Last of Us, the pivotal event during the first act, I don't think makes the rest of the game bad.
No,
if that didn't exist, if that didn't happen, they could still have a story.
Yeah.
I don't feel so this is not a spoiler, but a lot of the Last of Us 2, this is thematically, right? This is coming from a narrative from a film nerd. It comes upon this idea of empathy and forgiveness. And
that's the thing. People aren't upset at the themes. People aren't even upset that thing happened. That thing happened in the story. It happened in the story. But they were just kind of upset at how it was presented, how it kind of dumbed down that previously established thing, like that it was kind of out of character. And also, just like Last Jedi, you had all this time and money and planning to do it, and like this is kind of how you executed it. And people told you like, hey, we don't have a problem with you doing this. It's fine. It's your game. Make it how you're gonna want to mix it up. It's fine. But just the way that you did it. So to me, that was just kind of people's beef with it.
Well, I finished the game and I thought it was great. And
that's fine. A lot of people do too. And
I thought the narrative was good. It got a lot of people talking. It was super cool. Yeah. There is a different problem I have, which Cosmonaut and Vice and I believe Just Right, which is a fantastic YouTube channel that talks about the writing in movies and in games. Like, dismiss the gameplay. Do not watch Just Right's gameplay. It'll make you cringe because it's just, they're not hardcore gamers. Like, they don't stream. but they're showing their gameplay when they're reviewing the game. You're like, oh God, no, that's not how you play that stage. You're just, and you're like, you're not a gamer. Like, you really are here for the story.
Yeah.
And
Don't say people if they're there for the story aren't gamers.
No, they're probably a gamer, but the way this person played, or it's a he, the way he played The Last of Us on his videos, you're like, that is, like,
I know.
It's almost laughable. You're watching it, it's almost cringy. You're like, oh shit, how did you make it through this game playing like that?
I'm currently watching a Stellaris playthrough, and I've watched this guy play multiplayer Stellaris, and I've watched him play other sci-fi and other army type game, strategy games. He has a series right now where he's playing as Rome, Space Rome. And he has all these custom mods, and he has this sweet intro, and he has like all this lore that he's built into it. He sucks at Stellaris. So it's like, or like he hasn't played in a long time, and there's been a bunch of updates. So I'm watching him play, and it's like I'm used to, and then just watching, I'm just like, oh, there's been multiple times I've stopped his videos and come back like a couple days later, like, oh, that hurt my brain to see him make that retard. Just
totally, that happened. Like Top Hat Gaming, that British dude, he has been doing deep dives of the history of a lot of fighting games, and all of his on-screen footage is awful. It's just, people pressing jump and roundhouse kick. I'm like, you don't understand the mechanics of this game.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how you play this game. Anyway, sorry, story-wise, I thought it was great. I don't think it's as trailblazing as the first one. I will definitely say that. Like, the first one blew my mind.
It could have been,
this
though.
one, huh?
It could have been. Or it could have been just as good.
It could have been, but it would have had to... there was so much time in between then and now, and not only was there the decline of The Walking Dead, there's the entire decline of the zombie culture, right? Like, that's all on a downslide. And that's what a lot of the original one had writing on. Yeah. Including, and that's the one thing I have a problem with is, did they have to sign a check to Robert Kirkman with both of these movies? Because it's not little things they're lifting. There are entire plot points and angles and ethical decisions, and there's so much that is in that comic book series that I feel like they must have contacted them. It's so obtuse. That part bothers me. It wasn't like when you saw Zombieland, or it wasn't like like a fresh take on zombies, like Shaun of the Dead.
World War Z, the book, not the movie. The book.
Yeah, but both, because I listened to, I watched that video, the differences between the book and the movie. Yeah. The movie definitely went a Contagion.
Hollywood.
They took Contagion as a successful movie as a template for the zombie virus.
Yeah. And then they tried to smash it. And then the Hollywood thing, like, let's not make a trilogy or a series. Let's smash this dense thing down into like 2 hours. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. But that said, there's different ways to take this. You don't have to be The Walking Dead. But so much of The Last of Us is The Walking Dead. And this is no spoilers, maniacs. This exists in part 1. Even the fact that your lead was from the South, it kind of sounds like your lead in The Walking Dead.
Wait, did Last of Us, the first one, did that come out before The Walking Dead?
No, hell no.
Okay.
Oh wait, the TV show?
Yeah.
Oh. London, check it out. That'll be actually interesting news.
Season 10, so I don't know when Last of Us came out.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Last of Us was like 2012 or something.
But with that,
2013.
Chime in on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. That's Facebook is just Salt Tier Podcast. Instagram and Twitter is Salt_Tier Pod. I want to hear your voices on The Last of Us 2 and 1 as a whole. Like, it's so divisive. I want to hear your thoughts of it. As mainly people that played the whole game. I'm not here to listen to people that watched the trailer or read a synopsis on the story, because the story dictates what happened. Like, when you play 30 hours of this, I felt like it was warranted. Anyway, chime in. I would like to hear about it. I'm at Loudnbrown. That's right down on my name right here. Loud letter N and Brown. And on PS4 and Steam, I am Gross Def with a PH. I will kick it to the pigtailed host.
All right. Okay. So it's me, Sagebell at Sagebell on on Twitter and Twitch, Instagram and Facebook, Sagebell_model. You can also find me on Patreon at Sagebell as well.
Nice.
Kick
Stay
it to someone.
moist.
That'd be me, the Savorings ... I am in the midst of a spring cleaning that's happening in July. Get my VR set up, and like I was saying earlier, hit us up here on the Facebook. Join our Steam group and leave a comment for any kind of VR shenanigans that you would like to see us get up to. If you have any suggestions, if you play any types of games, feel free to go ahead and join us on in our Steam group. It's just Saltier Podcast. You can find us on there too. Just search for that in the groups there on Steam. And that's about it. I'll holler at you guys later with an update on some VR shenanigans. Kick it over to our producer / seducer, Emperor Elote, Kieth-a-boogie. With the Elote.
You can find lots of graffiti on @BeatsNoiseLight on Instagram, and that's about it. Oh, you know what? I think I might start grinding through Ghost of Tsushima on Twitch.
Hey!
Twitch.
Drop that Twitch handle, son.
Yeah.
I'll just do it. I'll do it on the Saltier Twitch.
Okay, tight.
I do have a question. Is there a way on Twitch that we can make a group so we can add any of us that do stream together onto that?
Oh, yeah.
Because you know how it says they're part of like whatever team or whatever?
I'll figure it out. We'll make it work.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we need to figure that out so we can all.
I will figure that out.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of stuff I'm actually going to figure out for you guys. Cool. I'm starting to have more time now that the Rona has decided to ruin everything.
Yeah. I'm going to end this on
welcome
louder.
Back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yes, for real.
On a lighter note, looks like the UK has got a badass vaccine that might be getting us out of here sooner than later, as early as September. Fingers crossed. That said, thanks for joining us here on the Saltier Podcast, episode 80. And we are still brought to you by Voodoo Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. This is really hard to do in reverse. Look at that. Voodoo Ranger IPA. It's a B Corp certified brewery and employee owned. Make fantastic beers and also gorgeous viewing. Thank you, Lauren.
We love you, Lauren.
For sure.
We can't wait to see you in person and do events in person. This was going to be the year. We were probably going to do like a live podcast for the beer garden at PAX, man. That would have been next year. We got it. Well, we're going to have even more accomplished by then. We're going to work on our merch. We're going to work on stuff that we don't do in person. We're going to work on our online presence. I know London's going to post more, for crying out loud. She's finally up to posting Instagram at least twice a week and doing stories every other day.
Well,
so
the
thank
good
you.
news is London just did her first photo shoot.
Oh.
We'll be sending those over to you for approval to use on the Instagram.
Okay. No, London, we're all about it. And I swear if you're wearing any Balenciaga or Supreme, like I just have.
What about ironically? Can she wear
We
it
should
ironically?
have.
You can't ironically spend $2,000 on something. You know what I mean? Like if I see a Balenciaga sweater, not only because we were teetering on the idea of kicking her any money. I was like, this person does not need money. It's just the college credits. Anyway, please like, follow, subscribe. That is SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Don't forget, Instagram and Twitter is the only thing different. That's salt_tierpod. Or you can watch it at the beautiful, beautiful soundcastingnetwork.com. Home to other beautiful podcasts like How to Be a Better Drinker and
Grill How Long Steak Mister.
Blow Up. No, Grill's kind of dead. Bobby Stills is 86 himself from podcasting for the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's other things going on.
But all the Glow Up and How to Be a Better Drinker and you guys and other stuff.
Super tight. Thank you for joining us for episode 80. Drink tons of beer. Thank you to Sage Bell and Savorings and Kieth-a-boogie and Loudnbrown for being here. We'll see you next week at 8 p.m. Thank you kindly.
Bye.
Deuces.
Deuce.